Hello and welcome to the McLaren Technology Centre. The 2023 season has been and gone, so we thought we'd take the time to reflect and catch up with Rookie of the Year, Oscar Piastri. Well, Oscar, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, ready for a bit of a break, definitely, but no, it's been an enjoyable first year in the sport.
It's the best rookie season since Lewis Hamilton, a 7-time world champion. And of course, that means that you have won not just the Autosport Rookie of the Year award, but the FIA Rookie of the Year award as well, matching the F2 Rookie of the Year award. How proud are you of that?
Yeah, very, very proud. Of course, I want to be aiming for more in my career than Rookie of the Year, but hopefully this is also the last Rookie of the Year award, because if it's not, something's gone wrong. But no, it's nice to have that recognition, I guess. It's been a good rookie year, definitely. Still a lot of things to try and improve, and I was very fortunate to have a lot of opportunities in the second half of the year to showcase what I can try and do. But no, nice to have that accolade as well. Yeah, I mean, it was a roller coaster of a year. Obviously, the start was pretty difficult for everyone in the team. Yeah, going from one of the slower cars on the grid at the start to having one of the quickest at the end was a pleasant experience, and I'm glad it went that way around. So no, enjoyed it a lot. Some big highlights, obviously, through the season. Some tougher weekends that I want to try and improve on for next year. But overall, I've thought it's gone pretty well.
Can we take it back to the off-season before the start of this year? How much pressure did you feel, not just coming into your first F1 season after a year out of the car following your win in F2, but also in the way in which you'd signed for McLaren and the sort of exposure that had given you and the eyes that were on you?
Yeah, there was definitely an element of expectation. I think, for me, mostly from my junior achievements, and of course, the way in which I came into Formula One as well raised the expectations a bit more. So I tried to not think about it, of course, and tried to do the best job I could and just focused on driving. And obviously without a year racing last year, it made life a bit more difficult at the start. But I was pleasantly surprised at how quickly I found myself getting back up to speed in racing situations. But yeah, definitely there was an element of expectation, but I always like to think that I put the most expectation on myself. So everything else is kind of just secondary.
And in that first third of the season, we'll take it back to even the car launch, where the expectation was set that this is a B-spec car and that McLaren aren't where they want to be. How difficult was that for you? You're coming into your first season, you want to make an impact, and first race, your P20.
Yeah, I mean, for my first race, the last 14 laps was not ideal.
Lost the gearbox.
Oscar Piastri in the pits for McLaren. His Grand Prix debut might be limited to 15 laps.
The team were very open with me about their expectations of the car. For me, it didn't really change what my personal goals were. I knew I had to try and get back up to speed, get rid of some rust from the year before. Whether I was in the slowest car or the quickest car, that process was still going to be the same. So, of course, it became a lot more fun when we were fighting a bit further up the front, but I think I still got the most out of it and made the few highlights at the start of the year even sweeter.
You had to turn it on quickly because 3 races in, we were back in Australia, we were in Melbourne. Do you approach a home race differently to other races?
I try not to. I try to think of it as the same, but when you haven't raced in Australia for 7 or 8 years since I was in go-karts, and you live 10 minutes away from the track, it's kind of hard to not think about that at times. So it was a special weekend, definitely. Even just being able to see my friends and family before the race is something I've not had the privilege to do in the last few years. For me, the sort of biggest memory that I have is the drivers' parade, actually. Seeing so many Aussie flags, so many people in Papaya, that was the first special moment of the year, but one that is definitely up there and will stay with me forever.
P8 points, home Grand Prix.
Thanks everyone. What a weekend. Cheers.
And your first points in F1 as well. How proud are you of that you managed to do it on home soil? It's kind of a fairy tale that many racing drivers would really want. But you also did that amidst the team who admittedly were struggling at the time.
To get my first points was in some ways a relief. It's always nice to get off the mark. And especially with the year that we were having, it was kind of a question of if we were going to get points in the first half of the year, not when. So to have that result, finished 8th, was very special. But yeah, to do it at home, I definitely couldn't have picked a better place to do it.
We'll fast forward through the season a little bit now. McLaren are becoming much more competitive through Silverstone and the races up to the summer break. And then back from the summer break, you had your first significant crash in Zandvoort.
Is the car possible to come back?
No, sorry.
It'd been a while since I'd had a proper crash like that, so I guess it was bound to happen at some stage. And I bounced back from the crash fine, but Zandvoort was a new circuit for me. The experience I'd lost for the race learning and qualifying learning with changeable conditions is something that I missed. You don't need to crash to know that it's going to affect your preparation, but just the magnitude of the consequences it had later in the weekend, opened my eyes.
Well, from the lows to then a high, your first F1 podium coming in Japan. You got so close, hadn't you, at Silverstone? How sweet did that taste in Japan?
Missing out on the podium at Silverstone stung at the time. There was a little bit of a feeling of, am I going to get another opportunity?
For the first time in Formula One, Oscar Piastri takes his place on the podium in just his 16th Grand Prix.
Being on a Formula One podium in front of all those fans was incredibly satisfying. It was a special moment, but yeah, there was one other weekend that was definitely a bigger highlight than that.
Let's talk about Qatar then.
His first win in Formula One for Oscar Piastri.
That was by far the best weekend of the year. We had more or less one clear opportunity to try and win, not a Grand Prix, but a race of some kind. So to make that happen in the sprint in Qatar was a very proud moment.
Very nicely done, everyone.
I think at the time I didn't really realize how proud I was of it because we had the Grand Prix the next day.
Oscar Piastri with a dream weekend. Winner of the sprint yesterday, second in the Grand Prix today, and it's third in the race for Lando Norris.
That was, I think, the first weekend where I left it saying I really got the most out of that, and there was nothing more I could have done.
What do weekends' time off look like?
So much of our lives as drivers are spent at the track and, in the simulator, doing partner activities, doing interviews, that there's really not much time. And I think this year I've really tried to focus on making sure I start off my F1 career on the right foot and not have any distractions. So Oscar away from the track at the moment is, I know we said I wasn't lazy before, but quite lazy. Just recharging, sleeping in your own bed, seeing friends, seeing my girlfriend, just the sort of simple things in life that you actually don't really get to do because we travel so much. So I still like doing sim racing when I'm not at a racetrack. So I do that a bit. Video games, I'm still pretty young, so I can get away with it.
Okay, who is your biggest role model?
Mark Webber was somebody that I watched growing up because when I started following F1, he was sort of in the peak of his career at Red Bull and they were winning a lot at the time. So him being the only Aussie on the grid, I naturally followed him. I think what Lewis has been able to achieve in the last 10, 15 years has been incredibly impressive. I think what Max is doing at the moment is very impressive as well, even if we all have to go and try and beat him. I think working with Fernando last year in pretty close detail was also an eye-opener, and I tried to learn a lot from that experience. There's others as well, of course, going back before I was born, Senna, Prost, seeing those two different styles working at the same time. I try and take those positive things from everybody if I can.
And what about your ambitions for next year? No longer a rookie. You've got a year under your belt. You know the tracks. What's next year's goals looking like?
I think in terms of results, it depends a lot on how we are as a team. Obviously, we've ended 2023 in quite a good place with a competitive car. Hopefully we can be the same, if not better. That's the goal. I think for myself, I've got a year of experience in Formula One. I've been to all of the circuits apart from China, so there won't be any completely new ones for me. So hopefully everything will just be a bit more comfortable, a bit more natural from the start. Just keep doing the same thing. If that means we're finishing on the podium or even winning, then that's of course what I'm going to try and aim for. If it means we're finishing 6th or 7th, then that's what I'm going to try and aim for. So just try and keep building, keep evolving. I've got some clear targets, I guess, that I want to try and improve from my first season. But yeah, just keep chipping away at those, and wherever we end up is where we end up.
Lando has said he's feeling pretty confident in McLaren heading into 2024. Obviously, you hope you guys will be up there challenging Red Bull, closing that gap that we've seen through 2023. How competitive are you expecting to be?
I don't know. I think for Lando to be confident is quite a big statement. He's obviously been with the team a lot longer and seen sort of the fluctuations that every team inevitably goes through. The biggest confidence for me is that everything we put on the car this year has worked. All the upgrades did exactly what we wanted them to do. The direction we've been going in has been working. And that's a very comfortable place to be in going into a new season, especially with stable rules and regulations. So we know that Red Bull are going to be strong again. It's going to be interesting to see what the other teams around us are going to be like next year. But I think we can be comfortable that the way we're working is the right direction. And if we keep going that way and do it better than the others, then yeah, it's pretty exciting to think what the possibilities could be.
And finally, Oscar, can you make a prediction of something you will achieve or something that will happen to you in 2024? And maybe we can revisit it and see if you were right or wrong.
A prediction. I hate making predictions. I think we will have hopefully more than one opportunity to fight for a win. That's certainly what I hope.
Good stuff. Nice and generic, so it will probably be proved right. Well done.
Thank you.
Oscar, thank you very much. Enjoy your Christmas and we'll see you in 2024.
Thank you very much. Cheers.